We have two really awesome welding machines in front of us right now. The Fronius Transpocket 180 Veterans Edition and the Fronius Transpocket 180 with TIG package. Both of these machines almost identical in what they can do, plus or minus the TIG package. But we're going to crawl them both over and show you what each one of them does, how well they perform, what I like, what I don't like, and all the rest of that good after I weld this one. Now, I'm a little bit short-staffed, so sorry about the confusion here. I needed somebody else to come in here and weld this one, so yeah. Justin.
What?
Come weld this for me real quick. I'm going to show you how to weld it like I just did 5 minutes ago before you started rolling. Jeez, drama queen. The hood. No, don't use that hood. That's my good hood. It's a hood, isn't it? What? Just weld. I'll show you how to do this. Now, if you guys want to see which one of us laid down the better weld, make sure you watch to the end of it. You guys can even vote on it. It's actually pretty funny. But let's take everything out of the box and show you what you get when you purchase the Fronius Transpocket 180. Now, the difference between the Transpocket 180 with the TIG package and without the TIG package is minimal. There's not a whole lot. The primary differences that you're going to see on it is, one, the TIG package has the gas port inlet, has an internal gas solenoid. On the front, it operates through a through-style DINS connector. The torch controls plug right into the front of it, and on the software side, you get a couple of extra functions like gas post-flow and a couple of other things. We're going to go over all those. But that doesn't necessarily mean you cannot use a TIG or run a TIG with your Transpocket without the TIG package. It just means that you lose a couple of those additional features, and you have to run an external torch. Not really bad. But let's tear all this stuff apart. Let's break it down. Let's show you what you get. Let's show you how it works. Now, when it comes to giving your Fronius Transpocket 180 some power, we have a few different options here. And these are all these individual leads with a quick snap-type patented locking design, which is extremely strong and really awesome. But the beauty of it is you get multiple cords, the entire cord, which snaps into the back of the machine, which is also interchangeable with many other Fronius machines, such as my Magic Wave 230i and my Fronius Transsteel 2200, which is really fantastic. So you don't always have to get the same lead for each individual one. But each lead is designed for different amperages, like 110 volt 15 amp service, 20 amp service, and even 220 volt service on 30 and 50 amps. Now, I might dare to say that they spared absolutely no expense when it comes to these leads, because this Stinger is rated at 400 amps, absolutely kills it. And when it comes down to this ground or this earth lead, it is solid cast brass with a ridiculously heavy spring and a 500 amp rating. They absolutely made sure that whatever you throw at this machine, it's gonna take it. Now, when it comes to portability, the Fronius Transpocket 180 is the master of its class, because you can quite literally pick it up with one arm and stick it right out in front of you. The whole unit weighs less than 20 pounds. Now, much of this is due in part to the fact that it's made out of very lightweight plastics and the case is aluminum. Now, if you purchase your Fronius Transpocket 180 with the Tig Torch itself is a really nice ergonomic design, has the controls and everything else on it, which is adjustable amperage and your actual on-off switch for your operation mode when it comes to TIG. Now, the best part about this is it comes with a through-style DINS connector with an O-ring on it, and the actual hand controls plug into the front of the machine. That's the main difference between the two of them. Now, the body itself is actually made from a very heavy and durable rubber-type sheathing on it. Now, this does weigh a bit, but at the same time, it's also going to take it. You're not going to have to worry about it getting messed up in the field or in the shop. Now, the TIG package also includes a nice consumable starter kit, which comes in its own carrying case. When you open it up, you'll see a bunch of foam dividers on it to keep everything nice and well protected, and it includes all your standard major sizes that you would normally use. You also get a nice heavy-duty argon flow meter, and everything, leads and all, plus the machine, can be stored into this portable plastic case. Now, this is really great because it has some very strong buckles on it, many handles to choose from. It has wheels so you can roll it around, and it even has this big giant carrying strap on it so you can pick it up and move on down the road with it. Now, you might actually think that there's no way that they're going to put anything worth it on the inside or the software side of this thing that really makes it worth it, because they made such a really nice exterior and they just totally jacked up all of the capabilities and even overkilled them with things like the leads and you know, all the extra components that attach to it. But you'd be totally wrong, because inside, in the software end of this thing, all the functions, all the parameters, all the adjustments are just absolutely insane. Somehow they got them all in there. However, there's a little bit of a downside to this. It takes a little while to learn these menus. Now I'm going to run through all of those just to help you guys out. And in the description, I'll even put what each one of those 3 character abbreviations actually means. So that way you can kind of, if you grab a hold of one of these, you can easily skip through and reference that. Now on Fronius's website, they have a really awesome cheat sheet and everything else like that that comes with it, and you can download it, so it makes it really easy. But if you're coming back to reference this video, I got you. Let's run through all this stuff and get into some of that welding action. Now the machine itself is very, very simple. In fact, I don't think it could be any simpler. We have a whopping 2 buttons and 1 encoder wheel. Now with this display being so small, we have a lot of codes and abbreviations and things like that we have to work through, which I'll show you all those. But first, let's talk about some of our operations. We have 3 different operation modes. Regular stick mode, cellulose mode, which this machine will happily chew up a 6010 root pass as an appetizer and cap it all off with some buttery smooth 7018. We also have TIG mode. Now this is a DC only TIG, but that's not really a deal breaker, especially when you find all of those really awesome features hidden inside of these menus, which we'll get into in a minute. But first, let's take a look at the adjustment parameters of each available operation mode. Now the top right button will toggle each one of the parameters in each operation mode, and they're all individual and unique from each other. Now starting with this little squiggly line here, this is our arc force dynamic, better known as DIG. It's adjustable from 0 to 100. Next is our amperage. Now on the Transpocket 180, it's adjustable from 10 to 180 amps on stick mode and 10 to 220 amps on TIG mode. Next is our soft start or hot start function. Now this is adjustable percentage from 30 to 200%, depending on where you want to set it. And finally, we have a pulsar. Now this is adjustable from 0.5 to 100 pulses per second, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now the pulsar is the same between TIG and stick, but is not available in cellulose mode. And also just the same, when we're in TIG mode, we do not have an arc force control and we do not have hot start. But we do have the amperage adjustment, of course, and we do have the pulsar from 0 to 100 pulses per second. Now for some of those quick menu items. Press the upper and lower button at the exact same time. This will bring up all of the menu or the adjustable parameters within each mode. So stick and cellulose are the exact same, while TIG has a few different functions or different adjustable parameters in that mode. Now to adjust or select any one of these parameters, simply press on the encoder wheel, make your adjustment, then press it again and you're back to the menu. Now HTI stands for Hot Start Timer. Now this is your starting current duration, how long you want the hot start timer to actually be active. It's adjustable from 0.1 to 1.5 seconds. AST stands for anti-stick. This is a simple on-off function. If you want anti-stick to be active, turn it on. If you don't, turn it off. STR stands for start ramp, if you want your amperage to ramp up or not. This is a very simple on-off operation. UCO is breakout voltage. Breakout voltage basically means the machine is monitoring how long the voltage is or how long the arc length is. If it exceeds the amount of voltage that you set the machine to, it will terminate the arc. A really nice feature. FAC stands for factory setting. It's basically your reset button for all your parameters. Second stands for second level menu. Now I'll post the second level menu stuff down below, but they're the same in every single mode. Now on to the TIG side. Just the same, select the TIG operation mode and press both buttons simultaneously. This will pull up your other menu. Now this is where it gets a little bit different. If you do not have the TIG package, you are limited in the amount of things that are shown on the actual menu or parameter display. Without the TIG package, the first thing you will see is CSS. This stands for Comfort Stop Sensitivity. This is essentially a voltage monitoring system, so as your volts increase, your amps decrease. This is a really nice feature to keep active if you want to keep your tungsten contamination down. Next up is UCO, which stands for breakout voltage. Now this is just the same as on the stick side, but the only difference is we have a larger parameter range. This one is from 12 to 22 volts. Now the beauty of the breakout voltage on the TIG side is the snap out. So when you're terminating your arc, since we're not running on a pedal, and if you want to snap out of it, the snap out will allow it to terminate at a predefined amount. This helps to prevent the ridiculously long arcs, and it's also a really great training tool. And finally, if you do not have the Fronius Transpocket 180 with TIG package, all you'll see is your factory reset and your second level menu access. But if you purchased with the TIG package, you then gain extended parameters to include 2T4T operation, gas post flow, and my favorite function, the tack mode. You want to know one of those little minor details I absolutely love? The menu itself, the first level menu, second level menu, all that, they don't time out. So basically when you're in that menu, it stays in that menu until you exit the menu. Now, if you've ever, had one of those moments where you're trying to set up a machine or trying to find a parameter or make an adjustment or anything like that, and then you have a total brain fart and you're just like, oh, man, what was I supposed to... and then the menu times out and you got to go back in, try to find it, and remember at the same time. It's a pain in the butt, but these menus don't time out. I really like that. Now, enough about menus. I've got some steel, we got the arc welder, we've got TIG, we've got everything. Let's actually start busting some welds out and see how well it does. Now, thanks to that hot start, these actually sticking the rods is actually really difficult. It takes a minute for you to get it set where you want it, but once I got it dialed in, there was no such thing as actually sticking it and being stuck there. But even if it was, anti-stick would work out well. Now, try as we might, these arc shots aren't as perfect as we normally would have them. We were kind of battling the smoke a little bit, but you know what? This thing is smooth, like perfectly smooth. Once you get it dialed and set right where you want it, it's like auto peel every single time. Really awesome. And guys like me who don't weld very often, at least with stick welding or arc welding as I usually just call it, but it's kind of gratifying to see something like that in a machine that just virtually spits it right out. I mean, that's awesome. We got perfect control over just about every single parameter on this one, so there's almost no reason why it wouldn't weld just absolutely perfect the entire way through. You could practically just bury the rod in there and get on moving, and this is a result. I mean, I'm not perfect with stick welding, but hey, it'll work. Alright, in the box we have 300 feet worth of extension cords. Outside is my truck, and inside here is a bunch of low amperage 110 volt outlets. So I'm gonna have to put this to the test to see if all of these, geez, oh, well, that one's zip tied together. Well, that's nice. Yeah, there's one. I'm sure this is, maybe I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time here just untangling these. Yeah, this will take a minute. Now, after some quick sorting, I got them out of the parking lot to stretch all of them up and down the block. So I was going to go a little bit more remote and just run off into some, location as far away from the building as I could possibly go. But I decided to wrap them back to back so you guys could actually see that there's no trickery, no, magic videography going on here. This is straight up. We ran them out of the wall on that little 110 volt power outlet, just standard stuff, flipped them back to back, connected them all one right after the other. So there are 300 feet. Now, these are 12 gauge extension cords. They're Husky brand from like Home Depot. They're all 100 feet long. They're all the exact same. They're all 12 gauge. Not that big of a deal. So 300 feet plus the whip, I figured this thing would just choke like almost instantly. But as soon as I lit that arc, it was just boom. It just took off and started going. I got the hot start going. I maxed out on 110 volts, which is 120 amps on this machine, just cooking on some 7018, seeing if I can get this thing to choke, blow, give up, whatever. What turned out is I was running way too hot, so I turned it down to 100 amps, and it didn't give me any fits whatsoever. It got to the point where I just started messing around with it and putting holes in the 1/4 inch metal and everything else like that, just trying to get it to throw a fit, but it didn't. It just kept going. That's nuts. Now, it's really been a lot of years since I've done regular arc welding, and I'd like to say I can at least hold my own, so at least the results of this, all of this testing and everything like that do hold some validity to them because, well, I still know how to do it. I can pick it back up and take it away again, but, it's been years. But either way, I'm really a TIG guy. That's what I do the most of is TIG welding, so I'm very particular about what I like. Now, this is a DC-only scratch start TIG. We can't run a pedal or anything like that, or at least I haven't found one that works with it, but It's not that difficult to actually run. You have all the adjustments, all the controls, everything you need. Now, we can test this all out on some flat stuff and do my normal stuff, but I wanted to jump straight into tubes because, well, it's a portable machine. You're going to be running around doing all kinds of crazy stuff, so why not get the hard stuff out of the way? So let's get on that. Now, I mentioned earlier that my favorite feature on this machine is the Tact Function. Now, basically, the Tact Function is a variable pulse frequency based on the amount of amperage. So as the amperage is low, the frequency on the pulsar is high, and as the amperage increases, the pulse frequency decreases. Now, this helps out tremendously when it comes to tacking up parts, and, I mean, it just flat out sounds really cool. It's really features like that that make things like scratch start TIG or tacking up when you don't have a pedal or anything like that. It's features like that that make it just really awesome. So let's bang out some notches here real quick. Now, this arc itself, surprisingly very smooth. It's it's not as crispy as, say, like the Magic Wave 230i, but at the same time, this definitely beats the heck out of a lot of machines that are even available off the shelf. It's really impressive, to say the least. Nice and smooth, very well controlled. The starts are fantastic. It is a scratch starter, a lift starter, however you want to put it, but it's controllable. It doesn't flutter everywhere. It doesn't go crazy. It's very, very nice. Now, I thought I would have a problem with the torch, since it has to be operated with a switch, but, it took a minute for me to get used to it, but I do still have the ability to manipulate the torch and run, around tubes like this and stuff like that. I mean, it's really not that hard. It takes a minute to get used to, but it's still manageable and the grip is still comfortable. Now, this is more how I envision the torch working extremely well for somebody like out in the field. That would be in walking the cup. Now, I don't have any large diameter stuff to do it in, so I took a run on the small 1.5" diameter tubing that I have here. I also am running the Pulsar at 10 pulses per second, and again, it's really smooth, and this grip feels a bit more natural in my hands. Now, I'm usually supposed to come up with some sort of a likes or gripes list for you guys, the things that I can see that anybody else would have a problem with, or something that I personally didn't like about the machine. That's what I normally do on every single machine, that we review here, and I'm not going to lie, the menu system, it was difficult. I mentioned that in the beginning, but theoretically, if you're watching this video, it's not as difficult for you to learn because all of the info is in there. We spent a lot of time going through menus, plus everything else is in the description. Not to mention, it comes with a cheat sheet and everything else like that from Fronius. It's not like super hard to learn them. It's just, a little bit of a learning curve and trying to remember that. But I wouldn't really call that a negative. I mean, it's difficult, but, not that difficult. I mean, it's pretty simple. Usually I would suggest that leads on a machine are like super wimpy or, not that great, but obviously these ones are incredible. The Tig Torch, it's not that I found any kind of like shortcomings or anything like that. It's not a flex head. These are Fronius only consumables. You can't necessarily change this to any off-the-shelf normal Tig Torch like we use here in the States, like your 9s and 17s and stuff like that. All of that is Fronius only. That may be a gripe for some people. It might be a gripe for me when I actually need to get some consumables too, because sourcing them, there's only a handful of places that can order them. So it's not like if you bust a cup, you can run down to the store at your local welding supply store and pick up another one like off the shelf, because these are not very common consumables here in the States. Everywhere else, I'm pretty sure they are. But, it didn't really take that much, practice to get used to this torch being so static, so stationary, but it may be a learning curve to some people, and I'm pretty sure that not having standard consumables like we do here in the States is maybe a little bit difficult. The lead is heavy, no getting around that, but at the same time, it has to be ridiculously robust, and it has to take a lot of abuse because this is a portable machine. This is something that you would actually be taking somewhere with you, not necessarily sitting stationary here in my shop. So, I can't really discount that. In all honesty, there's not a lot of things I could really gripe about when it comes to this machine. It seems like they put so much into this that it literally brings a smile to my face knowing that there's something out there that didn't have a whole lot of sacrifice behind it. That's really awesome. I don't think I can have anything really to gripe about other than what I mentioned. Now, I do believe that is going to wrap it up for this episode, and I want to thank you guys for watching as always. Very special thanks to Fronius for sending this machine out to us to test, and of course the Veterans Edition. these things are amazing. Absolutely blown away by them. But yeah, wow. If you want to check these out, you can always come down to the shop, book some time, and you can run all of these machines that we have in here if you want to try before you buy. It's a really awesome service I offer to a lot of people if they're, because welding machines are an investment. But either way, if you need to get in contact with us, hit me up on the fabricationseries.com website, Instagram at the.fabricator, or facebook.com/thefabricatorseries. Now, make sure you stick around for a little bit longer and figure out which one of us actually laid down that better weld. And you can vote on it in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Oh, running out. Running out. Boom, boom. Where are you at? Look at mine's gonna hammer. Mine's gonna I'm peeling. I'm peeling. Look at that, right there. Boom. Already. Boom. What do you got? Your own hammer. You need a hammer? Ah. Yeah. I'm going back in here. Where's yours? Oh. Good luck.